So silly.
I love it.
I
love it so much. All right. We'll get to all your stats in a second. We start this morning in Los Angeles. Raiders, Chargers, Monday Night Football, and Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert was locked in, guys, from the opening kick in this one. Tossed 3 touchdowns in the first half. The Chargers defense held the Raiders to just 51 yards of total offense in that half as L.A. raced out to a 21-0 lead. Raiders tried to claw back, but Brandon Staley's defense came up with a couple of big stops to ice the game. 28-14 Chargers, your final. So check out the very crowded AFC West standings. Chargers, Raiders, Broncos, all 3-1. I don't have my glasses on. I can't really see who's at the bottom there, but I feel like there's just another team. All right, we'll get to that other team. Broussard, let me start with you. Chargers with back-to-back wins over the Chiefs and the Raiders. Should they scare Kansas City now in the AFC West, those bottom dwellers in that division?
Absolutely, Jenna. Yes, they should definitely scare the Chiefs. Now, I picked the Chiefs like Nick to win the Super Bowl, and I'm not coming off that pick. But they should definitely be concerned with the Chargers. The Chargers are legitimate. All right, the Chargers showed last night that they are a very good team. They've shown it really all season. But the difference here between the Chargers and the Chiefs right now, defense. As in the Chargers play it, and they play it very well, and the Chiefs don't. All right, Brandon Staley, the new head coach, we know what he did as a DC last year with the Rams, had them playing the best defense in the league. And now he's done that with the Chargers. They have moved from a poor defense last year to being a top 10 defense at least this year. I mean, the Raiders had run roughshod over teams offensively in the first 3 weeks of the season, and they ran into a brick wall in the first half yesterday. They got some things going in the second half, but overall, the Chargers pretty much shut them down. And then, now you would say, Nick, well, they're not going to shut down Pat Mahomes. And I'll give you that, although they held him to 24 points a week ago. But, yeah, the Chiefs will be able to score against the Chargers' good defense. But the Chargers can score, too. Justin Herbert is looking like one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So you're not just facing a team that plays great D but can't score. They can score on you, too, especially that sorry defense that Kansas City has. And, Nick, let me give you this stat before you go. The Chiefs are giving up more than 3 points per possession, or per drive by the opponent. That is the last team, the only other team in the last 20 years, the only other team in the last 20 years to do that, the 2019 Miami Dolphins that everybody thought was tanking. And not trying, all right? So, Nick, you can scoff all you want. The fact is this. The Chargers have beaten the Chiefs. The Chargers have beaten the Chiefs 2 straight games. Now, I get it. The last time last year, Pat Mahomes was out. But in the first game, in the second week of the season, when Mahomes did play, they had to go to overtime with the Chargers to get a 23-20 victory, and that was Justin Herbert's first start ever. Love it. So they're a real threat to the Chiefs in the AFC West. Admit it. Admit it.
Okay, so you should have cut yourself about 60 seconds short, because that last minute there undercut what otherwise was some really good points. Brandon Staley has proven to be an excellent coach. I don't know if people are paying attention, but he understands fourth downs. He understands time and score and situation as well as any coach in the league, and he's only coached 4 games. So that's a check mark in their favor. Why is the defense better? Well, a number of reasons, but most notably Derwin James, who when he has played, which has been brief in his NFL career due to 2 brutal injuries, he is one of the best players at his position in the whole league. And of course, Joey Bosa is a superstar. So all of those things track and all of those things make sense. And I am actually glad that when it comes to the AFC West, we are now discussing the only other team in the division that actually matters. It was fun when Colin had the Broncos as the 4th best team in football, but we all knew they were frauds. And it was nice talking about, the Raiders. Could the Raiders have an MVP in Derek Carr. And you can't even say that without laughing because you're like, no, he's Derek Carr. He can't be the MVP. They actually are kind of lucky to not be 1-3. The Chargers, on the other hand, have an excellent quarterback, 2 very good wide receivers, I believe, a very good coach, but it's early. And so, yeah, the Chargers will be sticking around. However, where Broussard lost the plot a bit was sometimes a stat is so jarring, it actually refutes itself. So when you give me the Chiefs have the worst defense since a Dolphins team that was tanking, some people hear that and like, oh my God, the Chiefs are screwed. Smarter people hear that and say, oh, well, that's a small sample size issue. The defense will, by definition, get better. Meanwhile, the Chiefs' offense, 3 points per possession sounds good. It's tough, though, when the team you're up against scores 7 of possession, because that's what a touchdown is. Maybe miss an extra point here and there. Call it 6.5. And here's the last thing, Wilds, and here's what is going to end up being the critical issue for the Chargers. Winning road games is hard in this league. Playing 17 of them is impossible. And what was my biggest takeaway from last night? Every game all year, the Chargers are on the road. Silent count, better get used to it. Because it doesn't matter who comes to LA, it's that team's home game. So I do think the Chargers are good. I picked them for the playoffs. I think Herbert has a chance to be the second best quarterback in the AFC long term. I really believe that. But for a guy who has minimal experience, for a coach who has minimal experience, for a franchise that with this coach and quarterback has obviously never been to the playoffs, and every game you play is a road game, no, this is a 10-7, 11-6 team at best, and that's not winning the AFC West, my friend.
Okay, so I want to make fun of the Chiefs, but first I want to acknowledge that is a great point. And I want to speak right to Chargers fans. First of all, Chargers fans, I'm glad you're up.
They don't exist.
4:30 in the morning in the West Coast. They have to exist. Then they have to make some. You have to start giving away. Take out. You know, people love the T-shirt cannon. Take out the T-shirt cannon and just go to anywhere. And like, we need Chargers fans. The poor guy. I think there was a stat yesterday. It was 77% Raiders fans. There's tons of Cowboys fans. Like, you need to have Chargers fans in the building. It's a nice stadium. Maybe I'll go out there, become a Chargers fan, even though my team is still great. Okay. Nick, real
Wilds,
quick.
before you make fun of me, hold on. Before you make fun of me, fix your microphone. I think it fell or something because we're having a hard time hearing you. Fix your microphone before you make fun of me, and then we can discuss this more because I want to hear you making fun of me properly. You're fine. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Sometimes I get so fired up. Chargers fans, I said to buy tickets. Okay, stand by.
All right, here's my issue with the Chiefs and Patriots. When you say that the Patriots can't have we have a great defense and we can't score any points. You know what I say? You're right. We need to get better at that. When Broussard and I talk about how bad the Chiefs defense is, your response is, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Chiefs are 31st points per game, last points per drive, 31st in yards per game, last in yards per play. It matters. It matters. You guys, I know you had a big win in Tyreek Hill. It was a big fantasy stud in Philadelphia, but it was the canary in the coal mine that the Eagles never had to bring out their punter, and they're the Eagles. It is something to be worried about. You should be very scared of the Chargers offense, which already beat you.
So here's the thing. Here's the reason why I am not concerned about the Chiefs defense the way you guys are. Now, it has to be better. And you can't win a Super Bowl with the 30th or 31st or 32nd ranked defense in football. So it needs to get better. But Broussard, a misnomer, across sports is, or when it comes to the NFL, is all 3 phases of the game. Third offense, third defense, third special teams. You're like, special teams, let's call that 10%. So is it 45% offense, 45% defense? No. In modern football, when you're creating your team as far as valuing it, it's about 70% offense, 25% defense, 5% special teams. So the point is, in 2021, if you are going to have one side of the ball be weak and the other side of the ball be the best in football, it is not even an argument. A team with an all-time defense and a terrible offense, you know what that's called? last year's Washington football team, where you'll go right around 500 and squeak out a terrible division. A team with an all-time offense and a bad defense, you call that the 2018 Kansas City Chiefs, which were an overtime away from making the Super Bowl. So I do think the defense will improve somewhat, but I don't think you need a great defense if you have the best offense in the league in order to compete at a high level.
Look, I'm with you that Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league. The offense is arguably the best, Nick. They're not head and shoulders anymore above everybody else. I can name several teams that are at least in their league
Arizona's
offensively.
close.
Okay? They may be the best, but there are teams that are close now. And then you brought up Washington. Yeah, Washington had no offense. Again, the Chargers actually do have a very good offense. And you mentioned Justin Herbert becoming an elite quarterback. There's no doubt about it. He's averaged almost 3 touchdowns and 300 yards a game in his 3 meetings with the Chiefs. And I agree with you. The Chiefs defense doesn't have to be great, but it does have to be average. Okay, if they can get it up in the middle of the pack, maybe not even quite the middle of the pack, maybe even slightly below
20th.
the middle of the pack, then they could be okay. But they better do that because they look horrible, Nick. They used to be able to stop the pass, not the run. Now they can't stop